Right now what I want to do is I want to come in and make this assembly look as realistic as absolutely possible. When we build this particular bookend project, we're going to have welds that actually take this piece of metal for the P, or the R, and we're going to weld it to this base plate or that you see down here at the bottom, and also the vertical plates. It's important to go ahead and give your client as best of a representation as what your product is going to look like as you can. So we're going to create a little weld part that actually comes in here and welds. It's a little piece that actually shows the blending of this piece of metal to that piece of metal. We're going to go ahead and create that part. I've actually gone ahead and created one to kind of show you what it's going to look like. Then we'll actually go out and create it ourselves. So let's go look at that little weld part. So I come over here and I've got weld 001. And what it looks like is pretty simple actually. If you come in, it looks like like a hot dog that's been cut into quarters. I know that sounds kind of strange, but it actually does kind of look like a little hot dog that's been cut into quarters. So I'm going to show you how to actually make this part. So let's go ahead and create a new file and let's get started. Change my background to plain white. Come down here and I can check on my design units. Now I've got two ways of doing that. I can come down here at the bottom, or I can come up here where it says options here at the top. I can open that up, come over here to document properties, come over here to units, and currently it says I'm set to custom. Well, I need to go to inch pound second. We'll set that to 4 decimal places here. We'll set that to 4 here. We'll set that to 3, and we'll set this to 4. It's kind of my preference. I'll go ahead and hit OK. So I got that. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to the right view and set myself normal to that right view. Okay. Now I'm going to create a sketch. Pretty simple little sketch here. And I'll start somewhere out here, kind of on the same line as the datum. Come out here to the right a little bit, draw me a line segment over to the middle, and come up to the top. Then I'll immediately go to my Smart Dimension command, and I'll select that, and I'll give it a size of 0.1875. Okay, so there's 1875, and I'll accept that. Now I'm going to add a relationship here to this line segment here, so that anytime I change this segment, this will also change as well. And I'll show you what that looks like. So I'll come over here and add relation, and I'll set up my first segment, this guy here, and then I'll grab my second segment there, and I'll say make you guys equal. Okay, so now if I come over here and I click on, whoops, let's go ahead and accept that first. So I accepted that. And so now if I change that dimension, let's say to 1/4 inch, 0.25, hit that, everything scales proportionally. So if I grab my measurement command now and select this segment here, it will tell me that it's 1/4 inch. Well, let's check that again, clear this. We'll grab that line right there, or that dimension there, and get out of this. Grab that dimension, and we'll change it back to 0.1875. Do that. And we'll grab our measurement tool here, select that, and again 0.1875. So you can see how the relationship comes in and makes that thing. So what I'm going to do at this time is I'm going to do a arc by center point. So I'll come out here, oops, get out of this, go to arc by center point, and we'll select right here on this vertex here. We'll come out here and select that. And we'll come over here and select this. So, looks like we got that in. Let's kind of rotate that in an angle. We'll do a rebuild, and we're going to save this. I'm going to call this a weld 2. 002. Okay. So at this time, we should be able to go to our feature command, hit extrude. We'll select the line segment here. And we'll select that. Let's see if we got it here. I don't know if that's going to do an extrusion on that. We may have to come back and close this. Boss requires one or more closed surfaces in the contour which do not self-intersect. Well, we may have a problem here with that sketch. So I'm going to roll up here. If we're not sure, we can put our mouse over a certain corner and hit the G key. And the G key should allow us to zoom in. I'm not sure if that's working here. No, I guess it's not. No big deal. Hit the rebuild command. We may not have an intersection here at this point. We'll zoom up and check that out. Hit the F command again. Okay. Alright. now there's my ability to zoom up like using the G key right here. Okay, to get out of that, you just escape that, and we'll come up here and do a zoom out to this. See if we can zoom to extents. I guess it's not working there. Then rebuild and save the file and give it a name. I thought we already gave it a name of weld 2. So what I'll do now is go back to sketch, open that sketch. I'll expand this, come down here to sketch, and I'll zoom out a little bit. We'll see what's going on here. You probably got a line that's kind of overlapping here, but we'll just keep looking for it until we find it. I think that one's okay. All right, let's try this again. Yeah, now I'll grab that surface. Okay, it looks like you got it that time. So what we'll do now is we'll extrude from mid-plane here, and we're going to rotate that around so you can see it a little bit better. And that's set at 1/10 of an inch. It's kind of small, so we're going to go up to a 1/2 inch, 0.5, and we'll extrude it out to there. And actually, I'm going to take it all the way out to 1 inch. Let's do that. Take it out to 1 inch. Okay, extrude that. Zoom out here, and we'll accept that. Let's see if that works. Computer catch up a little bit. There it is. So that kind of looks like a weld, but we're going to go ahead now and use a fillet. And on the fillet, I'm going to click on this end and kind of get a preview of what it's going to look like. Looks pretty close. Let's actually see if we can make that a little bit. Let's see if we can go up to 1.2. Let's see what that does. Getting better. Let's go to 1.25, 1/8 of an inch. Okay, see what that looks like. Let's try it 1.3. Basically trying to get a visual feel for what this is going to look like. It looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and select the other one on the other side as well. And we'll check that off. And we can say that that looks like a weld for us. We'll go ahead and give it a material type of plain carbon because we're using steel welding rod. And that's what it looks like. So we've got ourselves a nice little weld part. So we're going to save that. And got to rebuild it first. We'll save it, and then we'll rebuild it. We'll come back over to our assembly, and we'll see if we can insert that. Now that's the assembly right there. And what we're going to do now is come over here to insert components. And there's our weld 2 part we just created. We're going to set it out here above the model so I can see it a little bit better. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select this surface here. I'm going to use it to mate. And then I'm going to rotate around here. And I'm going to select that surface there. Accept that. Rotate this around here. Kind of get under it a little bit. Come up and grab this. Grab that surface. Rotate out. Rotate around. And grab that surface. So there it's kind of got it placed vertically on this intersection right here. Now what I'm going to do is rotate up underneath the bottom, and I left a little bit of surface right there, as you can see, to use it as a mate point. And I'll come down here to this bottom here on the underside of that, and yeah, it comes down and snaps it right on. Well, I'm not going to actually make it exactly like that. So what I'll do instead is I'll say 0.125 and just kind of preview it, hit enter, and rotate this up around. Yeah, that's pretty close. I can kind of maybe play with that a little bit, and I like that, so I'll go ahead and accept that. Now what I want you to do is we're going to come back here in a moment. We're going to look at this. I want you to go ahead and put welds on all the contact angles that's going to work, like right here, and then we'll come around on the other side and do the same thing as well. It'll actually be on this edge here, that edge there, and that edge. Just go ahead and put your weld parts on there, and let's see what it looks like here in a moment. Alright, I've gone ahead and I've placed all my little weld parts to show a representation of what the weld is actually going to look like on all the connect points for the base plate and the vertical plate, as you see here. Those are going to be pretty strong. That part will probably be there for a long time, way after we're gone. But if we rotate around, you can see over here on the R as well, I put in this right here. You may be thinking, wow, this is a little bit thin, you know, the steel and all this. That's actually incredibly strong steel. That's 1/8 inch mild steel. And for the application we're using for it, it's going to be plenty strong. So here we are. We got this in and we got it done. Let's take and look at the somewhat of a rendering here without the wireframe edges on here. I'm going to go to this view, and you can kind of see what it's going to actually look like as I put the weld in. Now, granted, welds are a little bit rougher looking in that, But what we're trying to do is to show our client our proposed product and what it's going to look like. Now, as far as placing these, you can just kind of come in here and eyeball those in. All right, that looks good. We'll go back to our wireframe edges and we'll rotate around and we'll look at our part here. Looks pretty good. Okay, the only one thing we have left to do now is to model a little rubber feet that go on the bottom of the actual assembly here. The little rubber feet keep the bookends from sliding on the surface when we place our books right in here.